He thought he was just doing the right thing. He thought he could walk away into the shadows and never look back. But you don't save a woman like Isabella Rossi and just disappear. When Liam Harper, a struggling single father on the brink of losing everything, stepped in to stop two thugs from hurting a stranger, he had no idea he was saving one of the most powerful CEOs in the country. He wanted no reward, but fate had other plans. Watch what happens when the billionaire finds the mechanic who saved her life and discovers the heartbreaking secret he's been hiding. You won't believe the twist in Part 4. The rain in Seattle didn't wash things clean. It just made the grime slicker. Liam Harper adjusted his grip on his 5-year-old daughter's hand. Sophie was dragging her feet, her small pink sneakers squelching against the wet pavement of 4th Avenue. It was 11:15 p.m. No 5-year-old should be awake, let alone walking home in a downpour, because her father's 2008 Ford F-150 had finally given up the ghost 3 miles back. "Daddy, my feet hurt," Sophie whimpered, clutching her worn-out teddy bear, Mr. Buttons, against her chest to shield him from the drizzle. "I know, baby, I know," Liam said, his voice rough with exhaustion. He hoisted her up onto his hip, wincing as his lower back protested. He had just finished a double shift at Miller's Auto Body, and the ache in his muscles was a dull, constant thrum. "We're almost home. Just a few more blocks." Liam was 32, but he looked 40. His eyes, a piercing shade of steel blue, were framed by lines of worry that had deepened since his wife, Sarah, passed away 2 years ago. Since then, life had been a series of subtractions. Subtract the savings, subtract the house, subtract the hope. All that was left was the tiny, damp apartment on the outskirts of Belltown and Sophie. They turned the corner near a dimly lit alleyway behind a high-end jazz club, the Velvet Note. The contrast was cruel. Inside, people were drinking cocktails that cost more than Liam's hourly wage. Outside, the air smelled of wet cardboard and exhaust. That was when Sophie stiffened in his arms. "Daddy," she whispered, pointing a small finger towards the mouth of the alley. Liam squinted through the rain. 2 men, broad-shouldered and dressed in dark, ill-fitting leather jackets, had a woman cornered against the brick wall. A sleek, silver Aston Martin was parked nearby, its driver's side door open, the interior light casting a weak glow on the scene. The woman was dressed in a sharp, white trench coat that was now splattered with mud. She wasn't screaming, but her posture was rigid, terrifyingly still. One of the men had a hand planted on the wall by her head. The other was reaching for her purse, his other hand gripping her wrist tightly. "Give it here, lady. Don't make this ugly," one of the men growled. The sound carried over the rain. Liam stopped. His first instinct, the primal instinct of a father holding his child, was to run. To put as much distance between Sophie and the danger as possible. He couldn't afford trouble. He couldn't afford a hospital bill, and he certainly couldn't afford to get arrested for brawling. He turned to walk away, his heart hammering against his ribs. "Daddy, please help her!" Sophie's voice was small, trembling, but clear. She looked at him with wide, trusting eyes. "The bad men are hurting her." Liam looked down at his daughter. He saw Sarah in her eyes, that unwavering moral compass that had always been stronger than his. "Don't look away, Liam," Sarah would have said. He swore under his breath. "Sophie, listen to me," Liam said, setting her down behind a large metal dumpster that shielded her from view. "Stay here. Do not move. Count to 100, okay? Just like we practiced." "Is she going to be okay?" "I'm going to make sure she is. Stay down." Liam straightened up, rolled his shoulders, and stepped into the light. He wasn't a fighter by trade, but years of hauling engine blocks and framing houses had built a dense, corded strength in his frame. "Hey!" Liam's voice boomed, deeper and louder than he intended. The 2 men spun around, the one holding the woman's wrist, a guy with a shaved head and a jagged scar running down his neck, sneered. "Walk away, pal. This ain't your business." "I think the lady wants you to let go," Liam said, walking steadily towards them. He didn't stop. He knew if he stopped, the fear would take over. "I said walk away." The second man, younger but holding a switchblade that caught the glint of the streetlight, stepped forward. The woman in the white coat took the opportunity. With a sudden, sharp movement, she stomped her stiletto heel onto the foot of the man holding her. He howled, his grip loosening. She shoved him back, but the man with the knife lunged. Liam didn't think. He reacted. He closed the distance in 2 strides, catching the knife wielder's wrist in midair. He twisted the arm back with a sickening crunch of cartilage. The knife clattered to the wet asphalt. The scarred man roared and swung a heavy fist at Liam's head. Liam ducked, taking a grazing blow to his temple that made his vision swim with white spots. He tasted copper. He drove his shoulder into the man's solar plexus, knocking the wind out of him, then followed up with a heavy right hook to the jaw. The man crumbled to the wet ground, gasping. The younger one, clutching his broken wrist, looked at his fallen partner, then at Liam, who was standing there breathing heavily, fists still clenched, rain dripping off his nose. "Get out of here," Liam growled. They scrambled. They didn't look back, slipping and sliding on the wet pavement as they vanished into the dark. Liam stood there for a second, the adrenaline crash making his knees shake. He turned to the woman. Up close, she was stunning, even in disarray. Dark, raven hair plastered to her face, eyes the color of polished amber, and a face that looked like it was carved from marble. She was clutching her chest, breathing hard. "Are you hurt?" Liam asked, wiping blood from his lip. The woman straightened her coat, regaining her composure with a speed that startled him. "I don't think so. You're bleeding." "I've had worse," Liam muttered. He looked back towards the dumpster. "Sophie, you can come out now." Sophie ran out and hugged Liam's leg, burying her face in his wet jeans. "Daddy, you were like a superhero." The woman looked down at the little girl, then back at Liam. Her gaze softened, the steely resolve in her eyes melting into something akin to shock. "You have a child. You fought them? With your child right there?" "I couldn't leave you," Liam said, picking Sophie up. "Come on, we need to go." "Wait," the woman said. She reached into her coat, pulling out a sleek black wallet. "Please, let me. I don't carry much cash, but I can transfer. I don't want your money." Liam cut her off, his tone sharper than he intended. Pride was the only thing he had left, and he held on to it fiercely. "Just be careful next time. This isn't a good part of town for a car like that." "At least tell me your name," she insisted, stepping closer. The rain was slowing down. "It doesn't matter," Liam said. He turned his back on her. "Come on, Sophie, let's go home." He walked away into the darkness, limping slightly, leaving Isabella Rossi, the CEO of Rossi Global and the city's most eligible bachelorette, standing alone next to her Aston Martin, completely stunned. Nobody ever walked away from Isabella Rossi. The next morning, the reality of Liam's life hit him harder than the thug's fist. He woke up in their basement apartment to the sound of pounding on the door. He groaned, checking the time on his cracked phone screen. 7 a.m. His head throbbed, and a dark purple bruise had blossomed on his left cheekbone. He opened the door to find his landlord, Mr. Henderson, a man who smelled perpetually of stale cigars and lack of empathy. "Harper," Henderson grunted. He shoved a pink piece of paper into Liam's chest. "I'm done waiting." Liam stared at the paper. "Eviction notice. 72 hours to vacate." "Mr. Henderson, please," Liam pleaded, his voice raspy. "I get paid on Friday. I can give you half the arrears then. Just give me—" "You're 2 months behind, Liam. I've got people lining up for this unit who actually have money. 3 days, or the sheriff comes." Henderson turned and waddled away. Liam closed the door and leaned his forehead against the peeling paint. He felt like he was drowning. He looked over at the small mattress in the corner where Sophie was still sleeping. Mr. Buttons tucked under her chin. 3 days. He had $42 in his bank account. His truck was dead. He needed a miracle. He got Sophie dressed and walked her to kindergarten, forcing a smile he didn't feel. Have a great day, Peanut. Daddy loves you. Love you too, Daddy. Are you going to fix cars today? Yeah, baby. Lots of cars. But when he got to Miller's auto body, the garage door was half shut. His boss, Old Man Miller, was standing outside with a grim expression. Sorry, Liam, Miller said, not meeting his eyes. Business is slow. The big corporate chains are killing me. I have to let you go. I can't afford the payroll. Liam felt the ground drop out from under him. Miller, you can't. I just got an eviction notice. I have Sophie. I'm sorry, son. Here. Miller handed him an envelope with cash. This is for the week. It's all I got. Liam took the envelope. $200. It wouldn't even cover the moving van, let alone rent. He spent the next 6 hours walking the city, applying for anything. Dishwasher, janitor, day laborer. But the city was cold, and the economy was colder. By 4 p.m., he was sitting on a park bench near Pike Place Market, watching the tourists throw coins into a fountain. He wondered if he should jump in and collect them. Meanwhile, across the city, inside the glass and steel monolith of the Rossi Global Tower, Isabella Rossi was staring out the window of her 40th floor office. Did you find him? She asked, not turning around. Her head of security, a burly ex-Navy SEAL named Silas, cleared his throat. It wasn't easy, Miss Rossi. No CCTV in that alley. But we pulled traffic cam footage from the intersection. We got a grainy shot of him carrying the kid. Ran facial rec against the DMV database. Isabella turned. She was wearing a crimson power suit today, her armor against the corporate sharks she dealt with daily. But beneath the armor, she couldn't shake the image of the man's steel blue eyes and the way he had shielded his daughter. And? Liam Harper, Silas said, handing her a tablet. 32 years old, widower. Wife died of leukemia 2 years ago. No criminal record. He works or worked at a small garage in Belltown. Worked? Shop closed down some staff today. He was laid off this morning. Isabella swiped through the file. She saw the debts, the medical bills from his late wife's treatment that had decimated his finances, the eviction filings. He saved my life, Silas, Isabella said softly. Those men, they were hired by Damien, weren't they? Silas nodded grimly. We think so. Your cousin isn't happy about the board voting you in as permanent CEO next week. He wanted to scare you. Maybe worse. Isabella looked at Liam's photo again. A man with nothing, who risked everything for a stranger and then refused a reward. In her world, a world of vipers, transactional relationships and fake smiles, Liam Harper was an anomaly. A unicorn. He's in trouble, Silas. He's about to lose his daughter's home. What do you want to do? Send him a check? Isabella smiled, but it wasn't her usual shark-like smile. It was something softer. No, he won't take charity. He's too proud. I saw it in his eyes. She walked back to her desk and picked up a confidential file labeled Protocol, Family. I don't need a bodyguard, Silas. Damien knows my security detail now. He'll try something more subtle next time. He'll attack my reputation. He's already spreading rumors to the board that I'm unstable and lonely and unfit for family values. So? So, Isabella said, grabbing her purse. I need a husband, and Liam Harper needs a job. Liam was picking up Sophie from school when the black limousine pulled up to the curb. The other parents stared. It was a Maybach, long and sleek, looking completely out of place next to the rusted minivans and sedans. The rear window rolled down. Mr. Harper, a voice called out. Liam froze. He recognized the voice. He turned to see the woman from the alley. She looked different today, impeccable, terrifyingly rich, and wearing sunglasses that probably cost more than his rent. You, Liam said, tightening his grip on Sophie's hand. How did you find me? The driver got out and opened the rear door. Isabella stepped out. The playground went silent. I have resources, Liam, she said, removing her sunglasses, and I owe you a debt. I told you I don't want your money, Liam said, turning to walk away. "Come on, Sophie. I know you lost your job today," Isabella called out. Liam stopped. He felt a flush of shame heat his neck. He turned back slowly. "Are you stalking me?" "I'm vetting you," she replied, walking closer. She ignored the whispers of the other parents. She looked down at Sophie and smiled. A genuine smile. "Hello, Sophie. I like your bear." Sophie hid behind Liam's leg, but peeked out. "His name is Mr. Buttons." "Mr. Buttons looks very brave," Isabella said. She looked back at Liam. Her eyes were serious. "I'm not here to give you charity, Liam. I'm here to offer you a job." Liam crossed his arms. "I'm a mechanic. I don't think you drive your own cars to get fixed." "I don't need a mechanic. I need a problem solver, and judging by last night, you're very good at solving problems." She stepped closer, lowering her voice so only he could hear. "I know about the eviction notice. I know you have 72 hours. I can make that go away. I can clear your wife's medical debt. I can ensure Sophie goes to the best schools in the state." Liam's heart skipped a beat. It sounded like a deal with the devil. "And what do I have to do? Kill someone for you?" Isabella let out a short, dry laugh. "No, nothing illegal. I need you to marry me." The silence that followed was heavy. Liam stared at her, waiting for the punchline. "Excuse me?" "My name is Isabella Rossi. I am the CEO of Rossi Global. My position is being threatened by board members who think a single woman can't run a conglomerate. They want a family man at the helm. I need a stable image. I need a husband, and I need a father figure for the photo ops." She paused, her amber eyes locking onto his. "It's a business arrangement. 1 year. You play the role of my loving fiancé and then husband. In exchange, I give you $5 million, a house, and a future for your daughter, son. We sign a contract. No intimacy required. Just protection." Liam looked at Sophie. She was looking at a hole in her sneaker. He thought about the damp apartment, the hunger, the fear of losing her to the state if they ended up on the street. "Why me?" Liam asked hoarsely. "You could hire a model, an actor." "Because," Isabella said, her voice dropping to a whisper, "I saw you in that alley. You didn't know who I was, and you still fought for me. You're the only man I've met in 10 years who I know isn't after my money. I can trust you." She extended a card. "My car is waiting. We can go to my office and discuss the terms, or you can walk home and wait for the sheriff. It's your choice, Liam." Liam looked at the card. It was heavy, embossed with gold. "Isabella Rossi, CEO." He looked at Sophie. "Sophie, would you like to ride in a really big car?" Sophie's eyes lit up, like a princess car. Liam let out a long, shaky breath. He looked at Isabella. "I have conditions," he said. Isabella smiled. "I expect nothing less." The transition from the leaky basement apartment in Belltown to the Rossi estate in the exclusive Highlands neighborhood wasn't just a move. It was a migration between planets. The limousine wound its way up a private drive lined with century-old cedar trees. When the main house came into view, a sprawling, modern masterpiece of glass, steel, and concrete perched on a cliff overlooking the Puget Sound, Sophie gasped. "Daddy, is this a castle?" she asked, her nose pressed against the tinted glass. Liam swallowed hard. The knot in his stomach hadn't loosened since he got into the car. "Sort of, honey. It's temporary. Remember what we talked about? We're helping the nice lady for a little while." Isabella sat across from them, tapping away on her phone. She hadn't looked up for 10 minutes. "It's not a castle, Sophie," she said, her voice flat but not unkind. "It's just a house, a very large, very quiet house. I expect you to respect the quiet." Liam shot Isabella a look. "She's 5, Isabella, not a monk." Isabella paused, her thumb hovering over the screen. She looked up, her amber eyes assessing him. "She's 5, but she's part of the package now. If we're going to pull this off, she needs to be managed." "She's my daughter, not an asset," Liam said, his voice dropping an octave. "Don't talk about her like she's a stock option." For a moment, the air in the car was electric. Then the corner of Isabella's mouth twitched. "Noted. We're here." The car stopped. The doors were opened by staff. Liam stepped out, his worn work boots looking alien against the pristine, crushed gravel driveway. He hoisted Sophie onto his hip, clutching his duffel bag, the only luggage they owned. Inside, the house was breathtakingly cold. White marble floors, minimalist furniture, abstract art that looked angry. It smelled of lemon verbena and loneliness. "Silas will show you to the guest wing," Isabella said, checking her watch. "Get settled, shower, burn those clothes. My stylist, Julian, will be here in an hour. We have the engagement photos tomorrow and the gala on Saturday. You have a lot of work to do." "Burn my clothes?" Liam raised an eyebrow. "You're marrying a billionaire, Liam. You can't wear flannel shirts stained with 10W30 oil. You're playing the role of a successful consultant. Look the part." She turned on her heel and clicked away down the hall, her heels echoing like gunshots. 2 hours later, Liam stood in front of a floor-to-ceiling mirror in a dressing room that was larger than his entire old apartment. Julian, a frantic man with a measuring tape around his neck, had just finished pinning a navy blue bespoke suit. "You have the build of a laborer," Julian muttered, pins in his mouth, broad shoulders, narrow waist. "It is acceptable. But your hands, they are rough." "I work for a living," Liam said, flexing his fingers. "Not anymore," a voice came from the doorway. Isabella walked in. She had changed into casual wear, silk trousers and a cashmere sweater, but she still looked formidable. She was holding a thick folder. "Leave us, Julian," she commanded. The tailor scurried out. Isabella tossed the folder onto a velvet ottoman. "We need to talk about your background story. My PR team has concocted a narrative. You're a private consultant for sustainable energy infrastructure. We met at a conference in Geneva 2 years ago. We reconnected recently. It's boring enough that no one will dig too deep." Liam looked at the reflection of himself in the suit. He hardly recognized the man staring back. The grime was scrubbed away, the stubble shaved. He looked capable, powerful. "It won't work," Liam said quietly. "Excuse me? I pay the best spin doctors in the city. It will work." "It won't work," Liam turned to face her. "Because if anyone digs into Liam Harper, they won't find a consultant. They'll find a mechanic. And if they dig deeper, they'll find the truth." Isabella frowned, stepping closer. "The background check said you were a mechanic. Widower, clean record. What truth?" Liam walked over to the window, looking out at the grey ocean. "Your security team is good, Isabella. But they only looked back 5 years. Before the garage. Before Sarah got sick." He turned back to her, his steel blue eyes darkening. 7 years ago, I wasn't fixing cars. I was the lead structural engineer for Kincaid and O'Reilly. I designed bridges." Isabella's eyes widened slightly. "You were an engineer." "I was one of the best," Liam said, his voice devoid of arrogance, filled only with a heavy resignation. "Until the Silver Creek project. My firm was cutting corners, substandard steel. I found out. I blew the whistle. I tried to stop the poor." Isabella gasped. She remembered the news. Silver Creek. That apartment complex that collapsed during construction. 3 people died. "I tried to stop it," Liam whispered, his fists clenching at his sides. "But they were faster. They forged my signature on the safety sign-offs. They pinned the negligence on me. I lost my license. I was blacklisted from every firm in the country. I spent every dime I had on legal fees to stay out of prison, but I couldn't clear my name." Sarah. The stress of it probably made her sicker. He looked at Isabella, challenging her. "That's who you're marrying. A disgraced engineer who the world thinks killed 3 people. If your cousin Damien finds that out, he won't just destroy you. He'll crucify us both." The room was silent. The only sound was the rain tapping against the glass. This was the twist. This was the secret. He wasn't just a down-on-his-luck, blue-collar worker. He was a man of high intellect and higher morals, who had been crushed by the very corporate machinery Isabella represented. Isabella looked at him with new eyes. She didn't see a charity case anymore. She saw a survivor. She walked up to him, close enough that he could smell her expensive perfume. She reached out and adjusted his lapel, her fingers lingering for a split second near his heart. "Damien won't find out," she said fiercely, "because Rossi Global just bought the archives of Kincaid and O'Reilly 3 months ago. I own the evidence, Liam. I just didn't know it was you." Liam stared at her. "What? I can bury it." Or, a dangerous glint appeared in her eye. "I can prove you were framed, but first we have to survive this week. Can you play the part, Liam? Can you be the man you were before they broke you?" Liam looked in the mirror again. He straightened his tie. He thought of Sophie sleeping in a bed that felt like a cloud. He thought of the men in the alley. "I'm not playing a part," Liam said. "I never stopped being that man. I just stopped wearing the suit." Isabella nodded, a flush of color rising in her cheeks. "Good, because tomorrow night we're going to war." The annual Seattle Children's Hospital Gala was the apex of the social calendar. It was where the city's elite came to drink champagne, stroke their egos, and pretend to care about charity, while stabbing each other in the back. The ballroom of the Fairmont Olympic Hotel was bathed in golden light. Crystal chandeliers the size of small cars hung from the vaulted ceiling. A string quartet played softly in the corner, barely audible over the hum of gossip. When the doors opened and the announcer called out, "Miss Isabella Rossi and Mr. Liam Harper," the room didn't just go quiet. It froze. Isabella was a vision in a floor-length emerald gown that clung to her curves like liquid silk. But it was the man on her arm who drew the stares. Liam wore the tuxedo as if he had been born in it. He walked with a predator's grace, calm, alert, protective. His hand rested lightly on the small of Isabella's back, a gesture that looked possessive and tender, though they had rehearsed it for an hour in the limo. "Keep breathing," Isabella whispered, her smile fixed for the cameras. "Flashbulbs to the left. Don't blink." "I'm fine," Liam murmured. He scanned the room. "I count 4 security guards, 2 exits, and a lot of people looking at you like they want to eat you alive." "Just another Tuesday," she quipped. They descended the grand staircase. The crowd parted. Whispers rippled through the air like a contagion. "Who is he?" "Look at the way he looks at her. I heard he's a consultant. I heard he's royalty." They were halfway to the bar when a man stepped into their path. He was handsome in a slimy, polished way. Slicked back blonde hair, a smile that didn't reach his cold, dead eyes, and a martini glass held loosely in one hand. "Cousin," the man drawled. Isabella stiffened against Liam's side. "Damien, I didn't think you'd show. I thought you were busy tanking our Asian division." Damien Rossi laughed, a sharp, barking sound. "Always charming, Bella. And who is this? The flavor of the month?" Damien's eyes raked over Liam, dismissive and arrogant. He extended a hand, but he didn't look Liam in the eye. "Damien Rossi, future chairman of the board." Liam took the hand. He didn't squeeze too hard. Just enough to let Damien feel the calloused strength beneath the manicured skin. "Liam Harper, Isabella's fiancé." "Fiancé?" Damien choked on his drink. "My God, Bella, you're desperate. Where did you find him? The classifieds?" "I found a man who understands loyalty," Isabella said, her voice icy. "Something you know nothing about." Damien stepped closer, invading their personal space. The air smelled of expensive gin and malice. "Cut the act. We know the board vote is in 3 days. You're trying to stabilize your image because the shareholders are panicking. This," he gestured at Liam, "is a prop, a rented suit. Tell me, Liam, what do you actually do? Besides, hold her purse?" The circle of onlookers tightened. This was the blood sport they came for. Isabella opened her mouth to retort, but Liam squeezed her waist gently, signaling her to stop. He stepped forward, towering over Damien by 2 inches. "I specialize in structural integrity, Damien," Liam said, his voice calm, projecting perfectly so the nearby board members could hear. I analyze foundations. I look for cracks in the support systems before the whole building comes down. Liam picked up a champagne flute from a passing tray and inspected it. For example, Liam continued, locking eyes with Damien, I've been reading the quarterly reports on the Rossi skyscrapers in Dubai. The concrete mixture you authorized to save 4% on costs? It's reacting with the saline in the sand. The rebar is corroding. Damien's smirk vanished. That's confidential data. It's basic engineering if you know where to look, Liam countered smoothly. You're trading long-term stability for short-term profit. A structural flaw, just like your attempt to intimidate Isabella. Liam took a sip of the champagne, then set it down. A building with a rotten foundation always collapses, Damien, no matter how nice the facade is. I suggest you worry less about my suit and more about your concrete. The silence that followed was deafening. Several board members standing nearby were exchanging worried glances. Damien's face turned a mottled shade of red. He had been outmaneuvered, publicly, by a man he thought was a nobody. You'll regret this, Damien hissed, turning on his heel and storming off towards the bar. Isabella let out a breath she seemed to have been holding for 5 minutes. She looked up at Liam, her eyes wide with genuine awe. How did you know about the Dubai concrete? She whispered. I read the files you gave me, Liam shrugged, and I know bad concrete. I've poured enough of it. You were amazing, she said, and for the first time, the admiration wasn't part of the act. I was just protecting my investment, Liam joked, trying to diffuse the tension. You owe me $5 million, remember? I might give you a raise, she smiled. The band shifted tempo. A slow, melodic waltz began to play. We have to dance, Isabella said. The photographers are waiting for the look of love shot. Liam nodded. Lead the way. They moved to the dance floor. Liam took her hand, his other hand resting on her waist. They moved together with surprising fluidity. Liam was rusty, but he had rhythm. Isabella was light as a feather. As they spun, the rest of the room seemed to blur. The hostility, the flashes of the cameras, the threats, it all faded into the background. There was just the heat of her hand in his, the scent of her hair, and the way she looked up at him. You're shaking, Liam whispered. I'm not used to having someone fight for me, Isabella admitted, her voice barely audible. Usually, I'm the one holding the knife. You don't have to carry it all alone, Bella, Liam said. He used her nickname without thinking. It felt natural. Isabella looked at him, searching his face. The steel walls she had built around her heart for a decade developed a hairline fracture. She leaned her head against his chest, closing her eyes. It was a breach of protocol. It was too intimate for a fake engagement. But she didn't care. Thank you, Liam, she breathed against his tuxedo jacket. For a moment, in the middle of a ballroom filled with sharks, they were safe. But the safety was an illusion. From the balcony above, Damien Rossi was watching them, a phone pressed to his ear. His face was twisted into a mask of pure hatred. Yeah, it's me, Damien said into the phone. The background check was incomplete. He knows too much about the engineering specs. I don't care who he is. I want leverage. Real leverage. No, not him. The kid. Damien's eyes drifted to the photo on his phone screen. A picture taken by a private investigator earlier that day. It showed a small girl with a teddy bear playing in the garden of the Rossi estate. Grab the girl, Damien whispered. Tonight. On the dance floor, Liam felt a sudden, inexplicable chill run down his spine. He pulled away from Isabella, scanning the room, his fatherly instinct flaring up like a siren. What is it? Isabella asked. I don't know, Liam said, his muscles tensing. I have a bad feeling. Where is Sophie? She's at the estate with the nanny and Silas. She's safe, Liam. The house is a fortress. Liam nodded, but the cold feeling didn't leave. He knew, with a certainty that made his blood run cold, that the storm wasn't over. It was just making landfall, The drive from the Fairmont Olympic Hotel to the Rossi estate usually took 20 minutes. Silas made it in 9. The Maybach tore through the rainy streets of Seattle like a missile. Inside, the silence was suffocating. Isabella was gripping her phone, her knuckles white. Liam sat perfectly still, staring out the window, but the air around him radiated a terrifying, coiled energy. He wasn't panic-stricken. He was calculating. "Silas," Liam said, his voice terrifyingly calm. "Who was watching the back gate?" "Perimeter sensors," Silas replied, his eyes glued to the road, knuckles tight on the wheel. "And a 2-man team. They aren't responding." "They knew the shift change," Liam murmured. "Inside job." Isabella turned to him, her eyes wide with fear. "Don't say that. My staff has been with me for years. Money changes people, Bella, especially the kind of money Damien promised." The car screeched through the open iron gates of the estate. The gravel crunched violently as they skidded to a halt in front of the main entrance. The front door was wide open, swinging in the wind. Liam was out before the car stopped moving. He sprinted into the foyer. It was chaos. A vase was shattered on the floor. One of the security guards was slumped against the wall, groaning, clutching a bleeding head wound. "Where is she?" Liam roared, grabbing the guard by his lapels. "Sorry, sir," the guard wheezed. "They came through the kitchen gas. We couldn't." Liam dropped him and ran up the stairs, taking them 2 at a time. He burst into Sophie's room. Empty. The bed was unmade. The window was open, rain blowing in and soaking the pink duvet. On the floor, lying face down in a puddle of water, was Mr. Buttons. The teddy bear's arm was torn. Liam fell to his knees. He picked up the bear, his hands trembling for the first time. A sound tore from his throat, a guttural, animalistic sound of pure anguish that echoed through the empty house. Isabella appeared in the doorway. She saw Liam clutching the wet bear, and her hand flew to her mouth. The mighty CEO, the woman who commanded billions, crumbled. She leaned against the doorframe, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I promised," she sobbed. "I promised you she would be safe." Liam stood up. The grief in his eyes vanished, replaced by a cold, glacial rage. He tucked Mr. Buttons into his tuxedo jacket, right over his heart. "Stop crying," Liam commanded. It wasn't cruel. It was tactical. "Crying won't find her. Silas," the security chief ran in, holding a tablet. "I've got a trace. They didn't disable the tracker in Sophie's shoe." "You put a tracker in her shoe?" Liam asked. "Standard protocol for high-value targets," Silas said unapologetically. "It's faint. They're moving north, heading towards the industrial district. But the signal is stationary now." "Where?" Isabella demanded, wiping her eyes. Silas zoomed in on the map. "The old shipyards, Sector 4. It's a demolition zone." Liam looked at the map. He knew the area. He knew the soil composition. He knew the structures. "Let's go," Liam said, walking past Isabella. "I'm calling the police," Isabella said, reaching for her phone. Liam spun around, grabbing her wrist. "No police. Damien is desperate. If he sees flashing lights, he'll panic. If he panics, Sophie gets hurt. We do this my way." "Your way?" Isabella asked breathlessly. "My way," Liam confirmed. "I built things for a living, Isabella. Now I'm going to take one apart." The old shipyards were a graveyard of rusted steel and concrete skeletons. The rain was coming down in sheets now, turning the ground into a slurry of mud and oil. Isabella's Maybach was parked a mile back to avoid detection. Liam, Isabella, and Silas moved on foot through the shadows of the shipping containers. Isabella had abandoned her heels, walking barefoot in the mud, her ruined emerald gown trailing behind her. She refused to stay in the car. "There," Silas whispered, pointing to a warehouse at the edge of the pier. A single light bulb swung above the loading dock. A black van was parked outside. Liam scanned the structure. "It's a pre-war steel frame, corrugated roof, single entry point on the ground, but there's a catwalk access on the west side. The fire escape is rusted, but it will hold my weight." "I'll take the front," Silas said, drawing his weapon. Draw their fire." "No," Liam said. "Isabella goes to the front." Isabella blinked. "What?" "Damien wants you," Liam explained rapidly. "He wants you to abdicate. He wants the company. If you walk in there, his focus will be entirely on you. His ego won't let him look away. That buys me 3 minutes to get to Sophie." "You're using me as bait," Isabella realized. She wasn't angry. She was impressed. "Can you do it?" Liam asked, his hands gripping her shoulders. "Can you stand in front of the man who wants to destroy you and not flinch?" Isabella looked at the warehouse, then up at Liam. She saw the desperation in his eyes, the love for his daughter that burned brighter than any ambition she had ever felt. "For Sophie," she whispered. "I can do anything." "Good. Give me 5 minutes, then knock on the door." Liam vanished into the darkness. Isabella waited. The rain soaked her hair, plastering it to her skull. She was shivering, not from cold, but from adrenaline. She checked her watch. 5 minutes felt like 5 years. She walked into the light. She banged her fist against the metal door. "Damien!" she screamed, her voice cracking. "I'm here! Let her go!" The door creaked open with a groan of rusted hinges. Inside, the warehouse was cavernous and smelled of rot. In the center, under a spotlight, sat Damien on a folding chair. He was holding a gun. Beside him, tied to a pillar, was Sophie. She had duct tape over her mouth, her eyes wide and terrified. "Sophie!" Isabella cried out, stepping forward. "Ah!" Damien tutted, waving the gun. "Stay right there, cousin. Look at you. The Ice Queen, muddy and desperate. It's a good look. Let her go, Damien. This is between us. You want the CEO chair? Take it. I'll sign the papers right now." Damien laughed. "Oh, I'm taking the chair. But I can't leave loose ends. The mechanic, he's a problem. He knows about the Dubai concrete. You think I didn't see the look in the board members' eyes? You humiliated me." "He's nobody," Isabella pleaded, stepping closer. "He's just a paid actor. He doesn't know anything." "He knows enough," Damien sneered. He pointed the gun at Sophie's head. "Call him. Tell him to come here. I want to watch him bleed before I finish this." Isabella's heart hammered. She had to stall. "He ran away. He took the money and left. He's a coward, Damien." "Liar!" Damien roared. Above them, in the shadows of the rafters, a figure moved. Liam was balancing on a rusted I-beam 30 feet above the ground. He watched Damien point the gun at his daughter. The rage was gone, replaced by a singular, icy focus. He calculated the distance, the angle, the structural integrity of the chain hoist hanging directly above Damien. He didn't have a weapon. He didn't need one. He had physics. Liam crawled towards the winch mechanism. It was old, held together by a rusted locking pin. If he pulled the pin, the heavy steel hook and chain would drop. But the pin was jammed. Below, Damien cocked the hammer of the pistol. "I'm done waiting. Say goodbye to the mascot, Isabella." Liam gripped the pin with both hands. He braced his feet against the beam. He pulled with every ounce of strength in his body, the veins in his neck bulging. He thought of Sarah. He thought of Sophie. "Move!" With a metallic screech, the pin snapped. The chain plummeted. The sound was like a thunderclap inside the warehouse. The heavy steel hook, weighing 50 pounds, dropped 30 feet and smashed into the concrete floor, inches from Damien. The impact sent a shockwave of concrete dust into the air. Damien flinched, jumping back and firing a shot wildly into the ceiling. "What the hell?" Liam didn't wait. He swung down from the beam using the slack chain, descending like a dark angel. He landed on top of Damien before the man could recover. They hit the ground hard. The gun skittered across the floor. Liam didn't fight like a boxer this time. He fought like a father. He drove his knee into Damien's chest, hearing ribs crack. He rained blows down on Damien's face. Left, right, left. Each strike fueled by the terror of the last 2 hours. "You touched her!" Liam roared. "You touched my daughter!" Damien, desperate and bloody, managed to pull a knife from his boot. He slashed upward, catching Liam's forearm. Liam hissed in pain but didn't stop. He caught Damien's wrist, twisting it until the knife dropped, then delivered a final, concussive headbutt that knocked Damien out cold. Liam rolled off him, gasping for air, clutching his bleeding arm. "Daddy!" Liam scrambled to his feet and ran to the pillar. He ripped the tape off Sophie's mouth. "Daddy, you came!" Sophie wailed. "I will always come for you, baby. Always." Liam used Damien's knife to cut the ropes. Sophie fell into his arms, wrapping her small legs around his waist, sobbing into his neck. Isabella ran over, kicking Damien's unconscious body aside to get to them. She wrapped her arms around both of them, burying her face in Liam's shoulder. "She's okay. She's okay," Isabella whispered, rocking them. The doors burst open. Silas and a tactical team swarmed in, followed by the police. But the three of them, the mechanic, the CEO, and the child, stayed huddled on the floor for a long moment, a family forged in fire. The aftermath. 3 days later. The boardroom of Rossi Global was silent. Isabella stood at the head of the table. She was impeccable again, wearing a white suit, but there was a softness in her eyes that hadn't been there before. "As you have seen in the police report," Isabella said, her voice steady, "Damien Rossi has been charged with kidnapping, extortion, and attempted murder. Furthermore, thanks to the technical analysis provided by Mr. Harper, we have identified the structural flaws in the Dubai project and halted at construction before a catastrophe occurred." The board members nodded, murmuring their approval. "However," Isabella continued, looking down at her hands, "there is one more matter, the matter of my marriage." She looked towards the back of the room. Liam was standing there. He wasn't wearing a tuxedo. He was wearing jeans and a clean button-down shirt. He looked like himself. "Mr. Harper and I," Isabella started, her voice faltering. "Our arrangement has concluded." Liam nodded once, then turned and walked out of the room. Liam was packing the last box in the guest wing of the estate. The contract was void. Damien was in jail. Isabella's position was secure. He had a check in his pocket for $5 million. He was rich. He could buy any house he wanted. He could buy Miller's auto body and run it himself. "Are we leaving, Daddy?" Sophie asked. She was sitting on the bed, holding Mr. Buttons, who had been stitched up by one of the maids. "Yeah, Peanut. Time to go." "But I like it here. I like Isabella." "I know, honey. But we don't belong here. This is a castle. We're just regular people." Liam picked up the box. His chest felt hollow. He told himself it was just the stress leaving his body. He told himself he wasn't leaving his heart in this cold glass house. He walked down the grand staircase to the front door. A car was waiting to take them to a hotel. "Liam." He froze. Isabella was standing at the top of the stairs. She had run from the meeting. She was breathless. "You didn't say goodbye," she said. "I hate goodbyes," Liam said, not turning around. "You held up your end of the deal. The money cleared. We're square." "Is that all this was?" she asked, her voice trembling. "A deal? A transaction?" Liam turned slowly. He looked at her, really looked at her. "You know it wasn't. But look at you, Isabella. You're the queen of the city. I'm a guy who fixes things. I can't live in this world, and I won't ask you to leave it." "Then don't ask," Isabella said. She walked down the stairs, one step at a time. "Tell me to leave it." Liam stared at her. "What?" "I don't care about the board," she said, stopping on the step above him so they were eye to eye. "I don't care about the company." I sat in that meeting, and all I could think about was the way you looked at me when we were dancing, the way you held Sophie in that warehouse. She reached out, taking his rough hand in her manicured ones. "I have billions of dollars, Liam. But until 3 days ago, I was the poorest woman on earth. You saved me. Not just from the thugs in the alley. You saved me from this." She gestured around the empty mansion. "I'm a mess, Bella," Liam whispered. "I've got baggage. I've got scars. I like your scars," she smiled, tears pooling in her amber eyes. "They match mine." Sophie tugged on Liam's pant leg. "Daddy, does this mean we can stay? The nice lady has really good cookies." Liam looked down at Sophie, then back at Isabella. The wall he had built around his heart crumbled completely. He dropped the box. He reached out, cupping Isabella's face, and kissed her. It wasn't a show for the cameras. It was desperate, passionate, and real. It tasted of rain and hope. When they pulled apart, Isabella was breathless. "I need a CEO," she whispered against his lips. "Or at least, a lead engineer for my new philanthropic division. I hear there's a guy who knows a lot about bridges." Liam smiled, the lines of worry finally smoothing out. "I might know a guy, but he's expensive." "I can afford him," she laughed. 6 months later. The YouTube video opens with a shot of a sunny backyard. A grill is smoking. Liam is flipping burgers, wearing an apron that says, "Kiss the cook." Sophie is running through the sprinklers, shrieking with joy. Isabella walks into the frame. She isn't wearing a power suit. She's wearing a sundress and is barefoot in the grass. She walks up to Liam, steals a pickle from his plate, and leans her head on his shoulder. "Happy?" she asks. Liam looks at the camera, then at his wife and daughter. "Yeah," Liam says. "I finally fixed it." "Fixed what?" "My life." The screen fades to black, and that is the incredible story of how a single act of bravery changed the destiny of 2 broken souls. From a dark alleyway to the heights of corporate power, Liam and Isabella proved that love isn't about status or money. It's about who stands by your side when the world is falling apart. It's a reminder that sometimes the heroes we need don't wear capes. They wear grease-stained shirts and carry teddy bears. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to hit that like button. It helps us bring more emotional stories to you. Share this video with someone who needs to believe in happy endings, and make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a twist. What did you think of Liam's choice in the warehouse? Let me know in the comments below.